Hi, everybody. It's Pat Foley with recruitinginfo.com. We're continuing our video interview series with experts in youth sports and college recruiting across the country. Today, I'm talking to Aaron Locks. He's with the National Academy of Athletics, and they've got programs in 90 cities across the country. So really kind of expansive exposure to this topic. He's got a really deep, neat background in athletics himself. And we're going to talk about, I think, a really important topic, which is the importance of the child athlete having a real passion for the sport, in order for it all to kind of work. If they're really going to go on to the college level, that's a key element. But Aaron, let's start with just an overview of National Academy of Athletics and the kind of work that you guys do.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody. And as a parent myself, I know how important this topic is. So appreciate the opportunity to do this. National Academy of Athletics, we really have focused on helping kids to fall in love with playing whatever sport they want to play through partnership, strategic alliances with YMCA's, Boys and Girls Club, schools, leagues, and of course, municipalities, helping recreation departments put recreation back in their community, allowing the kids where they don't have to focus on just travel ball, just learn to play and fall in love with the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think far too many times what we see in athletics is there is a tremendous amount of passion in the parents and maybe not so much passion in the child. And it's not even necessarily, this goes beyond ability. I mean, you can have a really talented player who loses the love of the game, and at that point you're pushing on a string. It's just, because you start at a very young level. If you're gonna get to the college level, you're playing, for a very long time, and you've got to love the game.
Absolutely. Right.
And
Absolutely.
and I think, to me, there's two forces that can guide that. And number one, above all, is parents. I mean, the parents are the ones who are coaching them, so to speak, all the time. But coaches are a huge factor, as well. I mean, a single coach at an early age can change the trajectory of a kid's life. And a lot of times, I think um, it's the attitude. It's teaching things like playing the right way, sportsmanship. It's attitude. Talk about some of the things that your program does when you go out there and meet a bunch of coaches, for example, like your areas of focus.
Great. So yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Let me kind of put it in a succinct manner, maybe to help folks out. The one thing for me, so my son is 18 and
Okay.
he played 3 sports all the way through high school: baseball, basketball, football.
Yep.
And he's going to be going to play college basketball coming up, probably
Awesome.
get the season. And my daughter played, lots of different sports.
Right.
And now she's really focused on basketball as well. I think the key is as a parent, the first thing we have to figure out is it's not about our passion. It's about finding our kids' passion. One
Mm-hmm.
of my fun day jobs, I'm actually the umpire in the San Francisco Giants television commercials. I guess I have a face for a mask. So I, it's really
Yeah.
cool. But besides the acting part, which is kind of fun, you'll see my arm and my leg and whatnot. I get to hang out with the Giants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And listening to them talk about, when I was talking with Pence or with Buster Posey, the guy, saying, well, what does it take for a kid to be able to play high school varsity or college or even get paid to play someday? And we went round and round on all these different things. And Posey said it's passion. He said the one thing a parent has to be able to do is to help their child find their passion, what they're really interested in. Because if you think about it, like you said earlier, for them to be able to play at a high level, they're going to have to do this a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a big piece of that. So big, important piece. I thought it was a really neat analogy that Joe Panik and I talked about. He was the second baseman. We were talking about, he said, we love steak, right? Like steak. Great. But if you're forced to eat steak 365 days a year, you
Right.
become a vegan, and I love my steak. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's important to give them variety, to
Yeah.
help them find their passion, and then give them the fundamental basis so they can develop confidence, and then leave them alone, get out of the way.
Yeah. And I think, leaving them, getting out of their way is an interesting aspect of this too, in a sense, because I think it's very possible for a coach or maybe even more so because coaches tend to be temporary, right? You've got, you might have a grade school coach, then you might have a club coach, and then a high school coach. So coaches kind of come in and out. The parents are obviously the constant. I think it's easier. I think that a parent or a coach can destroy the passion in a child by being, heavy-handed, by turning it into a job. I don't know that you can instill the passion. Like, I think that some of it is just some kids are really into it and some are not, and that's where you see the conflict, maybe, where the parent just loved the sport of baseball and the baseball was their life, and then maybe their kid doesn't want to play baseball at all, or maybe they don't want to play sports at all, and the parent can barely get their head around it. That there has to be some of that that's just innate and inborn. And then if it is inborn, then it's up to the parents and coaches to nurture it.
I think separating the coach and the parent is a big piece.
Mhm.
Although, let's be honest, most of us have a parent volunteer scenario in some
Sure.
situation. When we do our coaches training or our parent orientations, we explain you can't make the season amazing for your kid, but you can absolutely ruin it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so the first question we always ask of the parents is, show me a hand. How many of you would like your child to still play this sport 2 years from now? They all raise their hand. It's great. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
And so how do you find that balance between? Well, one, we as a country have to do a better job of training our coaches
Mhm.
on not just what to teach, but how to teach it. One thing that we've used that has been really important in our training of coaches is something we have trademarked called Talk, Teach, Play.
Mhm.
And I'll let you guys know a little bit about it. So Talk, Teach, Play comes from my training with John Wooden, where really what it's about is helping them learn that the fundamentals is the right way to do it, but we have to allow you to do it. So, and trust the process. So 3 minutes of verbal instruction explaining what to do it, when to do it, how to do it, why to do it. And that's it.
Yeah.
After 3 minutes, then the kids go on the drills and they have to practice basketball, practice passing, right? Then after that 6 minutes, then you stop and they get to play a competition using what they just learned. So 3-6-6, Talk, Teach, Play, 15 minutes, they've had a chance to be introduced to it. They've had a chance to practice it and drill it, and they had a chance to play. And during the play, there are no directions and corrections. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
And what we have to realize is, as a parent, when our kids begin a sport, no matter how much we love them and we played them in college and we're the best, that doesn't matter. Because if our kid doesn't have a passion, interest, or want to continue to do it, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece.
That's great. And, I come from a rec league background, and, you made a great point about, the coach and the parent is not necessarily two different things, especially at the rec league level. I mean, I started as a kindergarten soccer coach, and I had no knowledge of soccer, but all you're doing is kind of steering little kids around.
Herding cats, right? Herding cats.
Exactly right. But then as it progresses, and some of the parents do have really good backgrounds in sports and really can be good coaches, they don't necessarily know how to be a coach. They don't have necessarily the background. They might have great instincts for it, but our program has brought in trainers because we're going through hundreds of volunteers a year, and with varying skill levels, and we have found it tremendously helpful to bring in some really experienced trainers to say, look, here's what it's all about, and it has nothing to do with here's how you kick a ball. Here's how you communicate with a child. Here's here's what to focus on. There's many different ways that you can correct a child for the behavior you want to change, and it varies from screaming at them to encouraging them. But even it goes beyond encouraging sometimes. It's just the way you frame things, I think.
I think there's an important piece there. So again, going back to my days with Coach Wood, and I don't know if everybody listens to this will know, Coach Wooden won 10 national championships in 12 years at UCLA, but he's more known for the pyramid of success, in my opinion. And the success is a peace of mind of knowing you've done your very best. We have to remember right now, our kids, your kids, our kids are facing something that we didn't grow up doing. Pat, when you and I grew up, we probably went down the street and played with our buddies, right? We started games with Rochambeau, and every now and then we did a little this or some of this, but we figured it out, right? Our kids don't have that opportunity. In fact, nationally, 78% of what every kid hears every single day is a direction or a correction. So think about this in the mindset. From the time they get up, eat breakfast, put your bowl in the sink, brush your teeth, brush your hair, where's your jacket, get your backpack, let's go, buddy, we got to go to school. Sit here, double space in English, show your work in math. After school, right? Still going after school. Hurry up, we got to get you to soccer practice, your brother to piano lessons. Then we go home, we got to eat dinner, got to take a bath, get your homework done, maybe sing a song and go to bed. I mean, that's when do they get to be a kid?
Right.
So for us, if we can find a way through youth sports to give them the activity level and introduce them to play and fun in the game, then that's what it's about. We learned how to play sports. I played everything, right? We invented new games, right? That's what we did. Our kids don't get that opportunity. So I think what's really key as a parent is to find their passion and let them have that. Getting back to like what Coach Wooden said, if success is peace of mind of knowing they've done their very best, my expectations for my son can't be that he's going to be the best this and that, because you know what? When they start, they're not going to be very good. They may seem like they are, but they're really not. And so the cornerstones of industriousness, enthusiasm will lead to success. But the challenge is this, and this is what really is a cornerstone of my entire company, is that industrious means work hard, and enthusiasm means, play hard, right? Okay, so, or have fun. So the deal is that if you have industrious, you work really hard, but you don't enjoy what you're doing, kind of leads to tedium, right? You never really get anything there. We've all been in those situations why people quit jobs a lot of times. The other one, if you're having a blast, but you're not really working, then you're not really getting anything done, unrealized potential. But you put the two together where they love what they're doing and they're working hard at it, then that's where it goes. So our motto is play hard, have fun.
Yeah.
And that's a big piece. So as a parent, I think it's really important. If I'm listening to this right now, I'm thinking, okay, if my son is 7 or 10 or 5 or even 11 or 12, I got to make sure they really have their passion for that. If you want, in a minute, I'll let you know. I've got some tips that can really help a parent to realize, okay, wait a second, is my child really still keeping the passion for that? But it's so important. I mean, the passion, the fundamentals, allowing them to play the game, realizing that they're going to fail and get back up, and that's part of the process is so important.
Yeah, I mean, I think I am a big advocate of the power of youth sports, and it comes with, it's learning how to win, learning how to lose, learning how to take direction. And for that to be realized, it's up to us who are kind of in the industry to create the right environment. But yeah, so yeah, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are there, your points.
Yeah, so a couple of tips that I think parents have to understand is one is that if the sooner we can realize it's their journey, not ours, the better, right?
Yeah,
if you really want your child to fall in love with a sport, then be around the sport and be involved, but be a cheerleader and be a helper rather than being the hammer. So as an example, if I wanted my son to fall in love with baseball, I took him to Giants games. I took him to local college games. I took him to high school games when he was little, so he'd be around the game, get to hold the ball, play a lot of catch, and then naturally it progresses, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget that. We can watch it on TV as well and kind of say, what do you think? But TV's not the same for kids in terms of if they're not actively engaged. So that's one way to do it. The second thing is obviously teach them to talk to sport. You said something that's so important, and I agree. There is no better life skill teaching tool, in my opinion, than youth sports, because it teaches us teamwork, success, failure, all those different things that we want our kids to learn. And because they're not getting on the playground anymore, this really gives them an opportunity to do it in a safe, controlled environment. The other part is that you got to trust the process and let them play as much as possible. For me, my kids played multiple sports all the way through, and it wasn't until they found the one that they absolutely said, I can't live without. They said, great, let's go.
Yeah.
When I was talking with Hunter Pence from the San Francisco Giants, he was going to be a football player. He's a big guy, 6'4" and strong. And then one day the ball got hit out there, and it was a baseball, and he threw it like from out of the park into home plate. Like, hey, who is this kid? And he gets up there and starts taking some hacks, hitting the ball out. They go, dude, it's sophomore year in high school. Right. So become an athlete first. Fall in love with being active in that. I think what happens is we're so focused on the scholarship and the end of the journey instead of enjoying the ride. And someone once told me something which was really cool about when my son was like 1 or 2 years. I think it was Rick Barry. In fact, said I think Mason was 2. He said, remember, if you're worried or thinking about your son getting a college scholarship, potentially 15 or 16 years from now, that potentially could be a 4-year scholarship. Would
Yeah.
you rather have them fall in love with the game for
Yeah.
15 years on a run, or worry about what may or may not happen 15 years from now? That's
Which,
really good advice.
not just what may or may not happen, but which probably will not happen. I mean, when you look at the real statistics of scholarships, the numbers are terrible. I mean, it's really and parents should know that and really think, that what I'm doing is creating an opportunity for my child. On the one hand, to learn life lessons. On the other hand, to have fun. On the other hand, it does open doors. If you're going at it with the mindset of, I'm going to get my a child a scholarship, your probabilities are not great. But if you're thinking, what, my child might have more college choices, or then yeah, absolutely, they might have more college choices. But all of this depends on whether it is ending up in the world of scholarships, or whether it's or maybe they don't even go to play in college, but all of it has to be about the journey along the way, and all the good things that come out of it.
Well, and giving the power back to the kids, I know I'm nuts. I tell everybody I'm kind of cuckoo with it, but I'll give you an example. So when my kids were playing sports coming up, we had rituals, right? We had a ritual before we went out. And if I was coaching, I had to let them know, okay, in the car, I'm dad. When I got out of the car, now I'm coach, right? So there's a difference, right? But I also knew I would give them one thing only before they got out of the car, which was play hard, have fun, because that was my job. Now, during the game, I had to trust what the coaches were going to do. After the game, to me, is really, really important, because as a parent, you're sitting and you're like, man, we practiced that so many times and you made a mistake. How could you do? And you want to say something. I'm telling you right now, if you do that, in my opinion, that's going to be forcing the kids not to love it.
Absolutely.
We do something different.
You wouldn't know from our car rides whether the game was won or lost. I mean, you would if it's a big game. It's not that you're not. Right. It's not about winning, but most of the time, listen, you get back in the car and you're having good conversations and
I take it to another level. So whichever child just got done playing got to choose if they're going to sit in the front seat or the back seat, right? so my son, if he had a good game, he'd want to sit up front. If he didn't have a good game, then he'd want to sit in the back and process it in his own mind, not my mind, his mind. My daughter, she was younger. She always wanted to sit in the front seat because it pissed her brother off, right? The second thing is they got to pick what radio station they wanted to listen to.
Right.
So we weren't talking. We were just listening to music. And the third is they got to pick where we're going to go, either have lunch or get a smoothie or something.
Right.
And the greatest story happened probably my daughter was about 9. And we finished basketball. And she got to pick one at the Applebee's, right? So we're sitting down at Applebee's, and she picked up the pink packets of sugar after we sat down and put them on the table and said, Dad, if we'd have run this instead of this on the offense, like using the pink, imagine what we could have done. I got chills thinking of it. So that's when I knew she was hooked on the game.
That's awesome.
And I think we have to allow them to get hooked and go through it, just like we did, no matter what our passions are, whether it's music or art or sports. That's really what, because ultimately we want our kids to be happy, right? Healthy and happy. That's really what we want.
Yep. Well, that's awesome. That's a great note to close on. It's really nice to talk to someone who sort of shares my passion for youth sports, and for kind of having a focus on doing it the right way so that we maximize the outcome and make it as positive as it could be. So, Aaron, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and I really appreciate all your time and especially your kind of words of wisdom here.
Appreciate the opportunity. If anybody's looking for information, they can go to nationalacademyofathletics.com. We have tons of information on the website. We can help out. And we do everything, like I said, from coaches and parents and all different kinds of stuff. We've got books. Anything we can do to help out, feel free to reach out. And absolutely, you can find us on the website there, nationalacademyofathletics.com. Appreciate the opportunity and doing a good job. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. Take care.